you guys?
We're good.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for rescheduling. You know, we had this scheduled for last week, but you know, life sometimes is messy.
Yeah.
Would you mind each of you introducing yourselves?
Good. My name is Monica, and I have. What would you like us to sort of include? Because we could just go on.
Just a general, what your role is, you know, in regards to the studio, maybe just a few words about your background.
So I am Rima and I, we're dear friends and also dear collaborators.
Best friends.
And we basically took probably our first yoga class together, Jiva with the yoga class together back in the day.
In early 2000, I believe it was 2001 or 2000.
And at the time, she was working for Colgate Palmolive in marketing, and I was working for Saks Fifth Avenue in international business development. And our offices were right next to each other. But aside from that, that's not how we met. We would hang out a lot, and we kept passing by this yoga studio with this big Om sign on Lafayette, and we're like, we gotta go check it out. We gotta go check it out, and we did. And
that's his history.
Yeah.
But we did meet. My name is Rima, and we met. Monica and I met on the dance floor at Twilight, which is one of the biggest club institutions in New York City. So it was like at the tail end of the 90s, and then a couple of years later, we ran into this, other institution called Jimukti Yoga on Fourth Lafayette, and our path has been a mutual one.
Aligned ever since then. Speaking of alignment.
And in 2005, we both quit our jobs. So me from Colgate Palmolive, 300 Park Avenue, sorry, and then Monica from Saks, and we started teaching yoga, and here we are, decades later. We opened Souk Studio, Souk Yoga Studio on January 15, 2022, with an incredible team. This space, which we can't wait for you to come and visit. I know Reggie Hubbard was here a few weeks ago. It was a complete gutterino. It was a multi-place, so it was like one big loft of about 4,000 square feet with uneven concrete floor, and we hired an incredible design agency and architect to instill the space with a multicultural influences from various parts of the world. And so we have incredible white oak floor for our practice, and reclaimed white oak, and the best sound system in the city, just as an extension of our musical past together. So we're recreating the dance floor at Souk, and our approach to yoga is a multidisciplinary one. So even though there's a strong undercurrent of Jimukti Yoga, since both of us co-founders are seasoned senior Jimukti Yoga teachers, we offer Iyengar Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga in different forms. We have a great Laughing Lotus teacher, ex-Laughing Lotus teacher, Ali Kramer.
We have sound meditations, we have
meditations, we have, we're coming soon, breath work with Vivian Rosenthal from Frequency. She's going to teach classes in May. In 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, we partner with two incredible men, Kian and Nick, and they're opening a 400 square foot space within our space called Irani, and it's inhale backward. It's a sauna, 2 cold plunges, so hot-cold recovery, and a small tonic adaptogen bar, and it has a bit of a speakeasy vibe behind a closed door, and that would be part of our offering. So the Souk is really an umbrella for holistic wellness, mental health practice, like rigorous practice and community. And people coming together through, as you always say, a shared affinity for a subject, such as yoga or sound or stillness, but also a little bit through, when I say adversity, it's more like meeting in a space where you're forced to meet your edge and go past this, stretch beyond your capacity, whether it's jumping in a cold plunge or being asked to do a challenging asana or sit still.
Mm-hmm. And I have so many questions, actually. But I love what you just said about going to your edge, right? Because how we deal with that moment is monumental, right? It affects everything, and how we approach that moment, and whether or not we even go to the edge, even that in itself is an accomplishment, right? Just even getting there. But then whether or not you go past or beyond. So I love that that's part of the messaging that you're sharing with everyone. In terms of your starting the studio, the path from, you know, corporate to then wellness to then friends and partnership, how did that even happen? I mean, was it just like you looked at each other and were like, let's do this? Like, was it a series of discussions? Because how amazing to work with your best friend, right?
Well,
But it's also terrifying.
my husband was like, you two are not going into business together. It's like, there's no way, you're so different. And so he was definitely like very concerned, but I think a lot of it is just sort of, it's a shared love for a subject, and then that at the foundation of that also a tremendous love and respect for each other. And so as much as, you know, at times like our differences in personality may make themselves known, that is always against the backdrop of a tremendous love and respect for each other. And so we're learning a lot about ourselves in the process, but also we're learning a lot about each other and growing with each other. And it's just, it's been a beautiful evolution. Like I'm always so impressed by her. She just like blows me away.
We're gonna make her cry.
No, but she really does. And I'm just, you know, it's like things that, you know, like for instance, differences in our personalities. I just see how this has been opening this studio, opening this space. She's really able to harness those qualities, and in a way, you know, that I see them as like different from me, and I see the relevance and the beauty of that. And so I think, you know, I'm definitely learning from her. And
I mean, I don't want to do anything alone, meaning like I want to do my practice alone, but not alone. You know, when you say it's very hard for me to practice yoga by myself, like to just, I've been practicing for so long, just to lay down my mat and do it alone. So I like to practice in a collective. And so, you know, even though you're alone on your mat, I like to do everything in community and with others. And it's so just having business partners such as Monica and so many others, and you know, like our incredible dream team and our student body, like the people who've literally have been here since, you know, it's like the hardest thing we've ever done in our lives. I mean, for me, it's like hands down, like I have major respect for every single small business owner in New York City. It just, you know, and brick and mortar, I mean, forget it, like lease, electricity, I mean, so I don't want to do it alone. So doing it with people that I respect and I look up to because of their wisdom, like Monica, or business acumen, but also because I want to hang out with them.
Right.
Even Nick and Kian, who are our partner in Elani, the sauna and cold plunge, like it's like we're family. And for me, that's the most important, because if I'm going to work my ass off, I just people that I respect and who are passionate. And so, I mean, and, you know, I'm very impulsive. So having, you know, someone who's a deep meditator like Monica and who's less reactive than me is very important, you know. So it's like they say, it's a bit cliche, the yin and the yang, but again, the whole team is incredible, and everyone, like, just the faculty is like handpicked of teachers, and not to be a snob, but it's like they're amazing, so yeah.
And there's so many things that go to, the transition from being a yoga student to then being a studio owner, right? That's a huge transition. That's a shift. Was there anything that really surprised you after opening a studio? Like, oh, we had no idea how to expect. I mean, there are the things you expect, like leases and taxes and all that. But were there things about owning a studio that surprised you?
Actually, my teacher, Sharon Gannon, who opened and founded the incredible institution with David Life of Jivamukti Yoga, always said, being a teacher and then opening a space, that it's like the hardest thing in your life, like, and so I sort of was prepared mentally. I was prepared to I was prepared mentally, but I mean, it's the minutiae of things. It's like the day-to-day, it's like, just like the little things that when you own a house, it's the same thing, I'm assuming, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like, oh, the plumbing,
Right.
The things that you could hand off to other people or assume would get done by others is basically on your plate.
Right.
So, and then it's also a very humbling exercise in, once again, distilling the necessary from the unnecessary, because there's so much.
Yeah.
And then it's like you sort of recognize your inability to get to everything exactly when you want to.
Yeah.
So then it's just like a daily practice. Okay, it's like, what is absolutely necessary in this, today, in this hour, in this next minute, and to give it that attention. And you kind of just hope that attentiveness will allow other things to fall in place, even if they get pushed to the side, that, whoever is still waiting on a response on an email, that they'll sort of understand. It's just like the other day, we're waiting on a response from a place where we want to hold a retreat, and there was like a delay in the response, quite a few days. And like, I sort of understood, like, I had a feeling like that it's a small operation, and that they couldn't get back to me right away because they have so much going on. And now I'm sort of being in those shoes, there's a little bit more like patience and understanding versus like, it's been 3 days, why haven't you gotten back to me? I'm like, totally, I understand, they're very apologetic, but now it's a different perspective on a lot of things.
And carving time for your practice is very important, because, and I get that feedback from Monica, from Jeanette, from Amanda, from Kalia, like team. Whenever I'm practicing in the space, I'm practicing, but then I'm noticing if like the frame on the altar is off kilter, so I go back. I'm gonna put it back. Like I'm not, it's my space, so
It's your home. It's like more than her. Like she's tidying up like she does at home.
And they're like, can you just practice? But it's we want it to be perfect every single day, every second of the day. And we have a heightened sense of aesthetics, if I may say so. So it's like everything has to be just perfectly designed and perfectly clean, and the offering. And you're really you realize how much you're in service, because customers, students, customers, guests, just people have, like, you see yourself,
walking through the door, wanting to sign up for a class,
and then
how you're going to be received, just all of sort of this, how that's going to make someone, how that would make me feel, with all those things.
Hi, Richard. He has four pizza restaurants in Montauk. And hi, Adrian, who's one of our, Anyway, so it's a journey, and it's been on 14 months, and it's just the beginning. And yeah, and I want to, I really, our vision for Souk is to be an institution, in a New York City institution, right? That, you know, for practice, for community, for getting to know yourself, for meeting your edge. And like I said, like, you know, meeting your edge without getting into the high risk zone, like just into the challenge zone, as we say, you know.
Rima, you touched a little bit on what I was going to also ask you guys. As a studio owner now and a business owner now, and just as life evolves, how has your personal practice changed? I mean, you mentioned now you notice little things and you're maybe a little more distracted, but your personal practice over the years has probably adjusted a little bit, or maybe it hasn't. Have you noticed any change?
I feel like, in all honesty, well, during the pandemic, I taught on Zoom probably twice a day. And I was practicing with everyone on the other side of the screen. But again, because I was talking and looking at the screen, like my practice wasn't, I wasn't deteriorated, but just took it a little bit deep. And with opening the studio, I'm practicing, but I feel like, you know, after the first year, I'm like the second year, I'm just gonna go back and just, you know, practice 2.5 hours straight a day, like just, and I feel like a little bit like not as, yeah, on it as I wanted to be,
Right.
which is, yeah, which is sad. Makes me sad a little bit, but I know I'll get there. I just, you know, it's in my DNA. It's just that it's, I have,
Yeah. No, it's interesting because but during that period of COVID, I guess we're not out of it yet, but in that period where we're practicing from home a lot, it's just, not only was I teaching, we were teaching, but also we had the opportunity to sort of, to also continue being students. And because there was so much extra time, I just, you know, it's like I took notes, I took, you know, I just was like really immersed in being a student in a very different way than I had the opportunity when life was sort of busy. And so it just feels like now it's like all these years of being a student and also a teacher. Like I see the study making itself known, like in a ways like I may not have as much time to study and to, you know, to dedicate to like reading and as much, but the resource feels very much sort of tapped into because of all these years, 20 years of being a of being a practitioner, being a student, and so it just feels like how do you say it? It's like you have credit in the bank and you're withdrawing from it, and it feels like a nice evolution.
yeah, it's an excellent point, and me too. Like because even preparing for class, I mean, I've been teaching for 17 years. I would put like 3 hours in every class, and now even though I'm here, like on a Tuesday, I'm here from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. 7:30 a.m. And I have like gaps. I'm taking class. I just because there's so much going on. Like I'm not like again carving that time just for study.
Yeah.
So I see like Monica was saying, like stepping into the role of the teacher when I'm teaching. All these years like flooding back to me, and the anxiety of not having prepared as meticulously as I used to. It isn't there, you know, because because of all those credits, you know, in the bank. And as I say in the Bhagavad Gita, no effort is ever wasted. So whatever you've done in your life or put energy and heart into will be useful. Useful is a great word, but will reveal itself at some point. And sometimes it's just like in a discussion with somebody. You're like something you studied like 10 years ago, just the teaching will just be perfectly timed for that one conversation.
Yeah. We are walking human encyclopedias, right? All our knowledge somewhere tucked in the back
Hopefully.
sometimes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your magazine. It's lovely.
Oh no, this is about you guys. This is your time. I got more questions. I got one more question for you guys, actually.
Okay.
I'm curious too, since you started at Jiva Mukti, your New York-based studio, you know, New York has its own energy. It always has its own way of being. Have you noticed, I mean, so many changes have happened over the years in terms of studios in New York City and the yoga and wellness scene in New York City specifically. Are there any changes that you would like to see that, you know, we could work on a little bit more, something that you see in yoga and in wellness you'd like to see more of maybe?
I mean, yes, I would. I want basically, I feel like that there was the rise and fall and hopefully rise again of yoga. Like what yoga, the hipness, hip factor and intensity around yoga that was there in the 90s and 2000 has been hijacked by other fitness modalities, anything from, you know, spinning to, you know, and so there has been like there's been more, you know, when people used to like, okay, I'm gonna practice. I mean, I really only practice yoga, but it's like practice 6 days a week or 7 days a week or 5 days or 6 days. Some people are like, we have Souk members, students, like, you know, that practice every day, but it's like, it's not, now people just combine their practice with other modalities. And so, you know, so it's like that intent, that's what I want to see again, like the intensity. And that's what we're trying to reclaim or bring back, not because it's not ours, but like bring back with this Souk as an institution, like there's like the juiciness that yoga, that was around yoga in the 90s and early in 2000.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also feel like, you know, for every student, there's a teacher, and then also for every student, there's a practice. And based on our readiness, we find the practice that we need. And so I don't feel like it's fixed. I think, you know, they are different modalities of yoga out there. And I sort of find comfort in the belief that that's what certain people need right now. And when they're ready, and they need something different, you know, I'm not saying better or worse or, you know, less or more, not sort of in those parameters, but when they need something, when they're ready for something different, then they'll come to us. And so I sort of have confidence in that because I've sort of seen that in my own evolution as a practitioner of yoga. Like there were times where I kind of, you know, in the beginning, it's like I just wanted to move and I wanted to, you know, I wanted music and all of that, and I just wasn't ready to hear anything related to alignment.
Right.
Just like, no, you know, what is that? Why are we staying so long in a posture? I want to move, I want flow, and all of that. I wasn't ready for it.
Right.
And then one day I was, and I was so grateful for those teachers and classes that, you know, they stuck to that. They stuck to their method of teaching with the recognition that there is an evolution in the practitioner, in their practice, in their ability to digest information, to become more subtle in their perception. That's just the nature of the practice. So, so have, you know, there are times where you kind of just see that there's a push, even generationally, you know, different generations were in the midst of like instant gratification. We want results right away. And yoga is something where the results are quite subtle. So to get to the level of perceiving those results in yourself over a period of time, you know, to get to that level of sensitivity, it takes time, it takes dedication. So I think, I think for every student, there's a teacher and there's a practice, and that is also continuously evolving. So like all the teachers that, you know, at first I was like, not for me, and they kind of just stuck to it, and I'm so grateful they did, and I came back to them. We're here, and we're excited to have you when you're ready.
I mean, that's what two things I wanted to say. One, Radhika Das, hi. We want to also bring Kirtan back to Manhattan, like Kirtan, which is corporate chanting, which was again huge back in the 90s and 2000s. And Radhika, who's here on this call right now, and is joining us from London.
You have such good eyes.
He's an amazing Kirtanwala, and he'll be chanting at Souk on April 29 at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then doing a Bhakti Mantra workshop on Sunday at 1. But also this is like what we were saying, like I'm like, I want it all now.
Right.
And Monica's like, when they're ready. And I'm like, what do you think right now? We opened 14 months ago. Like, they better be ready now. But yeah, and I've seen that evolution in myself. But it's not like it's like a mandala, it's like you don't just, okay, now I'm here about alignment. Okay, if that's the more subtle evolution, or you like, it's like, then there's a period in your life like, you know what, I want like the music, heart sweat, class, also part of my routine or my ritual. And but the point about instant gratification, which our nervous system are so conditioned to respond to positively, like, okay, like I'm looking, like how many people, how many people are on Instagram Live. I mean, it's crazy, like how our mind is just constantly checking into words like, am I getting the response, or is my Uber here within a minute? And like, I'm going to cancel if they're not here within 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Right. And yoga is about, like Monica said, Dirga Kala. Dirga is long and Kala is time. And we're in it in the long haul. And the beauty of this practice, unlike, I would say, maybe I'm out of line, like a HIIT class, or, it's just like, you can practice yoga for the rest, like for a very long time. Yeah. Because it's so generous in its offerings. Yeah. Or if you have an injury, you might not take a specific class, but you're maybe able to move in a different way, or sing kirtan, or, it's all yoga in a way.
And I think that's from a personal that's why I personally keep falling in love with it, because it always has something to offer me. If I'm not feeling, if I need rest, I do, restorative practice. If I need to move, I do a vinyasa practice. And there's always something that I can do within, the practice, which is why I never get tired of it, quite honestly, why I'm always finding new things to fall in love with. But I love that you also, in your scheduling and in your teachers, you offer that diversity. So you have the hard, sweaty classes, you have Iyengar classes, so you do offer those different offerings for people. So that's amazing that you're doing that as well. It's the work you guys are doing is really amazing, and I'm so happy to see studios opening up in New York City again. It was a sad time for a little while.
Yeah.
And you were very brave and amazingly opened it up, right at the tail end, and like it was just starting.
We signed our lease in September 2021 and did the start of construction in October 2020. 2021, October 21, like at the height of everything.
Yeah. Is there anything before we wrap up, because I want to be mindful of your time, is there any person or idea or someone that you just want to shout out that has just really been instrumental in this whole journey to opening up Souk, making it a New York City institution? You can say each other, but you don't have to.
I want to say our students, like basically, when there's no teacher, there's no student. And the teachings can be passed on, or there's no way to share our practices and our love for yoga, and really like our all-in and members, like people who have literally been here. And I would say that it means so much to me, because when Jivamukti Yoga closed in December 2019, which was pre-pandemic by a few months, Monica and I taught the very last class on December 22nd, 2019. And there were 173 people, and because there were 2 rooms open. And, you know, it was the end of an era, and people were very emotional. But then we got dispersed, and the pandemic happened, and, you know, and then people, you know, started taking on different habits or had moved out of town. I mean, so many things happened.
Yeah.
But I really want to thank, I mean, like without, and they know who they are. They might not be honest, but I know who they are. And I really, just without them, I would not be able to have that, you know, just sticking to it mentality or attitude and staying the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing, it's the best thing ever, but it's fucking hard too.
Yeah, big shout out to every studio owner, every studio founder, our teachers, Sharon and David Life, who hold a similar space or have done so in the past, and who've allowed us to, you know, as practitioners of yoga, enter that space and given us sort of the first taste or, you know, the repeated exposure to what it is to create an environment where people can come and find themselves at ease and feel safe and feel challenged and
Feel seen
and find their strength. So for everyone who's done it before us, for everyone who is doing it with us, and can continue to do so. So a huge shout out of gratitude to them.
Thank you so much.
So much, Anna.
Rita, Monica, founders of Souk Yoga in New York City. Keep doing it, keep pushing to that edge, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you.
We are so grateful for your support. Our next issue is at the printer. It will be at your studio in June.
Amazing.
People can get free copies there at your studio. I'm going to save this and load it on YouTube as well, so anyone that missed it can catch it.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.